A collective test. What is breaking open now? No one expects this. The energies we are about to experience in April haven't shown up in this form for over 50 years. Astrological configurations that once shock entire societies are returning. This time with more pressure, but also with a more awakened collective consciousness. Planet Saturn and Rahu meet in the sign of Pisces. This is a cosmic tipping point. Illusion or truth. Retreat or transformation. This moment no longer asks if you are ready. It shows you what can no longer stay. April is a test, but maybe also a remembrance of who you really are and why you came here in the first place. But first, a warm welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Silvia Soria Daya Krupp. I'm a medium, a healer, a messenger of the spirit world, and a Vedic astrologer. And if you would like to receive weekly energy updates and deeper insights into current energies, you can sign up for my free newsletter. I share weekly forecasts and powerful background information there. You find the link right below this video. In this video, we are not only looking at what's happening in the world, but also at the energetic undercurrents of what's coming in April. And I will share insights about developments in the United States and also about Donald Trump, Putin, Israel and Iran. What shifts and breakdowns are ahead? How will these energies affect politics and the economy and our collective consciousness? And a separate video is coming soon where I will focus on what those energies mean for you on a personal level. So make sure to subscribe to my channel. Before we dive into the powerful energies of April, let's take a quick look back at what has already unfolded from my March predictions. I had prepared you for the fact that peace negotiations would be difficult, especially because of the retrograde Mercury and retrograde Venus in Pisces. This sign is connected with international diplomacy. And that's exactly what happened. The agreements between Putin and Trump have so far produced no real results. Instead of hope, many people are now feeling disappointment and uncertainty. I also predicted that inner security in the US could be shaken, and that is becoming increasingly visible, not just through the rising polarization in society, the deep loss of trust in political leadership, and the growing tension among the people, but also through very real targeted acts of violence. Like you might know that in several US cities, Tesla cars were deliberately set on fire in acts of aggression and domestic terror. What we are witnessing here is more than just protest. It is a reflection of deep inner division, a system beginning to turn against itself. I also spoke very clearly about the potential for military tensions at sea. And now we are seeing exactly that. Donald Trump has ordered targeted attacks by US warships on Houthi rebels in Yemen. This is extremely dangerous and has the potential to escalate into a global conflict, even a third world war. I also mentioned that the upcoming eclipse could expose deep manipulations in the areas of pharma, medicine, and mind control. And indeed, over the past few weeks, new revelations have come to light. The German intelligence service, the BND, had already received indications back in 2020 that the coronavirus may have originated from a lab incident in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. But this information was kept secret and hidden from the public. But one thing I want to add. I'm not against the policy of Donald Trump or Elon Musk. It is about understanding that you should not focus all your hopes on one person. You should focus on yourself, on finding peace inside of you, because we are living in an energetic matrix. And this, what you believe, you will experience on the outside. So this is the most important focus you should have. But now let's shift our attention to the energies of April. The first major energetic shift after the powerful solar eclipse at the end of March happens on April the 2nd, when Mars enters the sign of Cancer, where it will stay until June the 6th. Mars always acts as a trigger. Mars rules energy, willpower, action, and determination, but also irritation and anger, aggression and conflict. Cancer, on the other hand, is a water sign. It is connected to emotion, protection, inner roots, and themes of home and family. When Mars moves into Cancer, something happens that many people can feel, but struggle to put into words. The energy no longer pushes outward, it begins to press inward. Instead of clear, direct action, we are likely to experience emotionally charged reactions and increased need for safety, retreat, or defense. At the same time, we may also see emotional outbursts in areas where things have been held in for far too long. Mars does not feel at home in Cancer. Astrologically speaking, it is debilitated there. That means the energy does not really flow in a good way. It could bring distortion and also a passive-aggressive energy. We may see sudden emotional escalations, irritability, or a sense of, I can't hold it in any longer, but I don't know how to deal with it either. Mars in Cancer is also aspected by Rahu, which makes this energy highly unstable. Rahu brings amplification, distortion, illusion, and exaggeration. This combination can lead to irrational actions, emotional triggers turning into real-life explosions, or suppressed tensions suddenly surfacing, often triggered by small things but with enormous force. Together, Mars and Rahu create a field of restlessness, agitation, and unpredictability. And on a personal level, within societies and across global events. In the chart of the United States, the sign Cancer falls into the 8th house, and that's crucial. The 8th house stands for power, for transformation, for crises and scandals, deep upheaval and hidden agendas. It's also the house of loss, control issues and secrets. With Mars transiting the 8th house, this could lead to power struggles behind the scenes, sudden turning points, blackmail, manipulation, or secret negotiations that may only come to light much later. And what does all this mean for Donald Trump? There's a very specific energetic configuration building up around him in April, a mixture of confrontation, karmic pressure, and possible escalation. And I will go into more detail in a moment. His chart is really under intense pressure. There's a high possibility of a major revelation or a dramatic move being made around or against him, but more in a moment. April will not bring stillness. And we also see Mercury. Mercury will shift. Mercury will move direct. After weeks of retrograde motion, which brought confusion, lack of clarity, and the feeling of being mentally lost, Mercury will go direct on April the 7th. This slowly brings more clarity to your thoughts and supports clear communication and decision making, especially around contracts and negotiations. But don't expect everything to fall into place right away. Look into your personal horoscope to find which house Pisces rules for you. That's where things will start to sort themselves out and move forward again. And if you don't have a Vedic horoscope yet, which is essential for this kind of reading, you can order it anytime through our online shop. The Vedic birth horoscope is not the same as the Western horoscope. Your ascendant may fall into a completely different sign. If you're curious about this special form of astrology, you'll find the link to order your chart right below this video. Vedic astrology is built on a completely different system. Although there are a few similarities to the Western approach, the foundation and interpretation are unique. And if you'd like to learn more about how to read a Vedic chart, you can also join my free astrology workshop. The link is available under this video. With Mercury now shifting, we are not only making external decisions. Mercury in Pisces activates spiritual communication, symbols, signs, intuitive messages, and inner knowing that often contradict logical thinking. This means Mercury now helps you make choices not just with your mind, but from a more holistic, soul-aligned perspective. And also planet Venus goes direct on the day of the full moon, April the 13th. This brings a return of flow in relationships, the ability to move toward solutions, and a deeper sense of what connects us instead of what separates us. But the first 2 weeks of April are dominated by a highly intense and potentially dangerous energy. Planet Saturn is aspecting planet Uranus very tightly, between 0 to 1 degrees, while also conjunct Rahu, the upper lunar node, the north node, at 2 to 3 degrees in Pisces. Saturn stands for structure, order, discipline, but also for restriction, delay, and karmic pressure. Uranus brings exactly the opposite: change, rebellion, sudden breaks, unpredictability. This is the clash of the old and the new, and it's not happening in harmony, but through inner resistance. What has been held tightly together wants to break apart. What has become rigid and heavy begins to crumble. Uranus is now back in the sign of Taurus after the retrograde phase. And that's exactly where Uranus brings now disturbance and sudden shifts, and mainly because Saturn is aspecting Uranus directly. And this will shake up our financial system. And we see the first developments around the digital currencies to open the markets for them. We also see in Europe that the European Central Bank is currently in the preparation for the digital euro that could be introduced in 2026. These are significant shifts and can bring limitations and restrictions in how we can use our money, because there is a high potential for monitoring our transactions. So the question is really, will this system bring more freedom or more control? And the combination of Saturn, Uranus and Rahu is not an easy energy, because it brings sudden, unexpected shifts. And also this combination brings also geophysical instability. Saturn applies pressure from deep within the earth. It builds tension and compresses energy. Uranus, on the other hand, brings sudden releases, shocks, and the breaking openings. And then we have the North Node Rahu. Rahu amplifies all of this, adding a layer of unpredictable karmic intensity to the field. And unfortunately, this also means that we continue to face an increased risk of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, instability in the earth itself. And because all of this happening from Saturn in the sign of Pisces and Rahu in the sign of Pisces, the danger of floods or tsunamis is also heightened. I truly wish I didn't have to keep talking about these possibilities again and again, but leaving them out wouldn't feel right either. Saturn, Rahu and Uranus together can also be linked to assassination attempts or violent incidents involving influential figures. In last month's update, I spoke about the death of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy, both of whom were killed under a very similar astrological configuration about 50 years ago. That was also the time when the Vietnam War escalated. What we are experiencing now is a return of the same energetic patterns. And yet, even in the midst of all of this, there is a great opportunity hidden in these times. As intense and challenging as these constellations are, they also act as a catalyst for transformation, upheaval, and new clarity. Sometimes things need to shake and fall apart, so that something more truthful, more real can emerge. This time does not call you into fear. It calls you into your inner stability, your connection to the earth, to your truth, and to life itself. This constellation is a test for all of us, but it's also an invitation. Will you keep holding on to an old system that no longer serves you? Or will you now step into your own truth, even if the path feels uncertain? On April the 13th, we will experience a powerful full moon in the sign of Virgo at 29 degrees in the lunar mansion Chitra. And this is a critical degree that marks a threshold. Something wants to be brought into order, while something else has already ended deep within. Chitra is associated with clarity, with revealing inner structure. And through its connection to the fixed star Spica at 29 degrees in the sign of Virgo, which Spica stands for awareness, for spiritual integrity. This full moon receives a special direction. It's about recognizing what still holds true for you on the inside and what no longer resonates with your path. From an astrological point, this full moon is not only on a collective level very important, but also for Vladimir Putin. His natal Mercury is exactly at 29 degrees in Virgo, right where the full moon takes place. Mercury rules the 12th house in his chart, the house of secrets, isolation, retreat, but also international affairs, covert operations and hidden structures. A full moon on his natal Mercury means that hidden matters could come to light. A strategic shift may become necessary, or something that has been planned behind the scenes might reach a turning point. This could indicate a loss of control, a public revelation, or the beginning of a new strategy under pressure, because something can no longer be kept in the dark. And by the way, there has been ongoing debate about whether Putin's public known birth horoscope is actually correct. But with Rahu placed in the 4th house in the lunar mansion Dhanishta, this is a strong indicator of massive real estate and hidden wealth. And there are several other notable factors you can see in his chart. So for me, there is no question that this chart is the real chart. On April the 27th, we will have a new moon in the lunar mansion Bharani. This is a lunar mansion ruled by Yama, the god of death and soul order. Bharani stands for transformation, clear consequences, the end of a cycle, and the gateway into something entirely new. During this new moon, Mars will stand exactly opposite of Pluto. This brings continued conflict energy, intense protection patterns, and the urge to blame others, and a rise in manipulative or controlling behaviors on a personal but also collective level. And yet, within this intense constellation, there is also a very real opportunity. If you stop getting caught in outer battles, a new kind of strength can emerge. One that no longer fights against, but acts from a place of inner clarity. Bharani doesn't offer harmony, but it grants your permission to let go of what binds you. And in that there's a quiet kind of liberation. Because only when you stop holding on to what's not truly yours, you create space for what is. But now let's start with the horoscope of the USA. And there we see immense energies in the 4th house, the house of the people, of the national identity, and the emotional stability of the country. And this is the sign of Pisces. And Neptune is placed in the opposite in the 10th house, in the sign of Virgo at 1 degree. And at the beginning of April, Saturn will stand exactly opposite of Neptune, while at the same time Saturn is aspecting Uranus at 1 degree in Taurus and also connects to Rahu. And this Saturn-Neptune opposition deeply affects the USA, not only politically but emotionally, on a national soul level. Neptune represents what is hidden, blurred, or idealized, what is concealed, silenced, or disconnected from reality. And Saturn brings a direct confrontation with reality, responsibility, and consequence. A chance to expose something that has been buried for a long time, something related to the past, to power, to control, and collective illusion. At the same time, planet Mars moves into the USA's 8th house, the sign of Cancer, which adds a layer of crisis, transformation, and deep emotional turbulence. The 8th house is associated with themes like transformation, hidden power, secret agencies, taboos, and deeply rooted fears. Mars can trigger something here that can no longer be held back. And this is reflected in the current feeling of insecurity spreading across the country. It becomes even more critical due to a powerful alignment directly impacting Donald Trump. At this time, Uranus stands at 1 degree in Taurus, exactly on the medium coeli of his birth chart. This point represents reputation, public image, and leadership role. Uranus was already near this exact point once before, in June of last year, when the assassination attempt on Trump took place, which he barely survived. Now Saturn is directly aspecting this same point, while Neptune stands in opposition, and Rahu is conjunct Saturn, creating an astrological field of extreme tension, very rare, highly charged, and karmically loaded. So what does that mean? It could make a turning point in Trump's position, an event that radically changes his public path, or a moment when something comes to light that has been hidden until now. Again, this is not about prediction, it's about awareness. These energies carry intense karmic weight, and whatever unfolds now will have impacts far beyond just one person. The stars reveal the potential, but it's always we as humans who choose what becomes of it. But now let's take a short look what the energies mean for Israel. Pisces, where Saturn is now entering, is Israel's 7th house, the house of open enemies, alliances, and diplomatic confrontation. Saturn is also then aspecting Uranus in transit in the sign of Taurus, where we also have the fixed star Algol at 2 degrees, and also the Sun in Israel's horoscope at 0 degrees. And this constellation suggests pressure on political leadership, mainly Netanyahu, tensions in diplomatic relations, and the potential for military escalation, especially in matters involving foreign policy and strategic decisions. Now for Iran. For Iran, April energies are really also very strong, because the solar eclipse at the end of March happens near the national sun at 70 degrees in the sign of Pisces. This is the 9th house and rules law, religious leadership, international outlook, and belief systems. An eclipse on the sun in the 9th house can bring political shocks, changes in direction, or challenges to religious authorities, especially with Saturn and Rahu activating this sector at the same time. And then Mars moves into the 1st house, Cancer, which means Mars is influencing the country directly, affecting its stability, its external behavior, and its inner response to pressure. That's not a good sign. Mars in the 1st house can release aggressive and destructive energies, especially when internal tensions are building up. This is really a very clear sign that the conflict between the USA and Iran will increase. So let's hope that we can find a solution that is not built on aggression and war. April is not a month of smooth energies. It is a pressure point where many lines cross: karmic, collective, personal, and geopolitical. And then we have the energies from the eclipse, from the end of March. And then Saturn, Rahu, Uranus, Mars and Pluto, they form a kind of energetic force field that no longer allows us to just keep going like before. And yet, within all of this, there is always an opportunity to change and to grow, if we become more honest with ourselves, with the world, and with what you are carrying. Maybe this won't be the month where everything gets resolved, but maybe it is the month where you finally stop carrying what was never truly yours. So thank you so much for listening, and I will also create a separate video for all 12 ascendants, where I will show you what these April energies mean for you on a personal level. Share this video with people who are also drawn to energetic and spiritual perspectives. And more importantly, do not forget, I love you from the depth of my heart.